What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel where today we're ranking Wrong Turn. And to be completely honest with you, as far as I'm concerned, the bottom part of this list is fairly interchangeable. But I think for today, I am going to put at the absolute bottom of the barrel Wrong Turn 6. I don't know if this is more of a case where they put Wrong Turn into a situation where it didn't necessarily belong, or this is the most Wrong Turn movie out of all of them in the worst way. And look, I'm not even going to remotely attempt to sit here and act like incest isn't a significant part of the lore overall. It's part of what makes the bad guys who they are. Everybody knows that, and it's fine for the most part. My issue here, though, is that they've taken that and made it the core concept, the primary plot point of this entire movie. Sex as a theme in its various forms is extremely present from top to bottom. Right from Jump Street, you are introduced to a duo of antagonistic siblings that also have very gross, affectionate feelings for each other. There's a handful of sex scenes that take place between various couples where that same sister watches them, and in some cases pleasures herself while watching. There's a scene where she rides a pillow to completion while using it to smother one of the characters. And last but not least, there's of course the sex chair in the downstairs basement spa area of this resort, where family members can ritualistically get it on while the other members circle around to watch, hold hands, and sing Kumbaya. Bottom line is, this isn't a movie that's got much to say. It doesn't really add anything of value, and basically it's just a softcore porn that doesn't do much for me. But I'm going to talk about these next two in sort of the same breath, as they not only go together, but frankly are part of the same issue. And I don't even think I would be nearly as critical on these as I am if they had been upfront and honest about being soft reboots. Fresh ideas to push the franchise into new and different directions. But instead, they claim to be canon in the original run of movies and prequels to the first movie. But Wrong Turn 4 is an origin story nobody asked for that completely disregards the already established lore from the first couple of movies in favor of things that don't really make a lot of sense. The whole premise doesn't make a lot of sense, in my opinion. And then what's worse is everything else about it. I, as a horror fan, have a lot of patience and can put up with a fair amount of stupidity when it comes to advancing the plot forward and things like that. Sometimes in storytelling, it's just a necessary evil, right? But this movie feels like it pushes my boundaries on that a lot. Every decision that this Scooby-Doo gang makes is just irredeemably painfully stupid. And it happens over and over and over again. And I'm going to save everybody time and not go into it in detail whatsoever. If you know, you know. If you don't, you're lucky. You're not missing anything. But all I will say is spoiler alert, the only light at the end of this tunnel is that nobody makes it out of here alive. Nobody survives the end, which is fine by me because as far as I'm concerned, nobody deserves to. But the only thing that puts Wrong Turn 5 above that is that it has a little snippet of lore that I kinda actually like. The bit where it explains how all of the hill people came down into the town and raided it and massacred everybody, I can follow the logic there and see how that would someday lead to the pulp mill shutting down and everybody leaving with the exception of our ill-fated family that starts this whole thing. Now, that's not to say that these connective tissues are particularly good or strong, but they are there, and thus it gets a little bit of mercy from me. But the one thing that this movie tries to sell that I absolutely refuse to buy is the idea that Mr. Doug Bradley, who is this very intelligent criminal mastermind mass murderer for the past 30 years, is intended to be the same simple patriarch that we see covered in God knows what, missing teeth and chugging Pepto-Bismol at the gas station in the original movie. I don't think so, Tim. No amount of mental gymnastics that I could do makes that work or make sense. Just no. But after that, we have Wrong Turn 3. And this is probably the weirdest one out of the bunch for me because when I initially watched it for the first time, I liked it as a concept. I kind of liked the idea of these prisoners being chained together and wandering through the wilderness until they had to contend with Three Finger. But watching it for this video, things kind of didn't land the same. I'm not really sure how to feel about this one or what to do with it. It was obvious to me in watching it that they had intended this to cement Three Finger as the mascot of the Wrong Turn franchise. And I say that because he is the only hillbilly from the other movies to be featured in this one. It's his time to shine in the spotlight. But there are moments here where I also kind of got the feeling in some weird way like they wanted to potentially turn him face or make him a protagonist, make him a good guy, especially when they have the criminals kill his nephew, which obviously makes him more sympathetic and justifies his actions a little bit. But I don't want that. And I'm not asking for that. I can't look at somebody like Three Finger and say, you can make a good guy out of that. I would believe it. You can't, in my mind, take an inbred cannibalistic hillbilly and say, that's the protagonist of your movie. But in saying that, it's almost like they're not, or they're half-assing it. Because in that same breath, there's nothing to indicate any real sort of change or evolution within his character to be good. Yes, he is hunting these people in reaction to having his nephew killed by them at times, but he's still the same bloodthirsty creature he always was. And let's be clear, um, with the exception of maybe one or two characters in this movie, the rest of them are complete and total assholes, right? But they're supposed to be. They're hardened criminals, just not likable at all. And so I guess when you break it down, this movie is really nothing but assholes killing assholes for the sake of carnage candy. Uh, but I don't know. I don't hate this one by any means, but it's the weirdest, most confusing one out of the bunch for me. Let's see. Our bronze medal goes to Wrong Turn 2. Now, typically, when you have a concept that mixes horror with reality television, very similar to when they decide to launch our favorite mascots into space, it doesn't tend to work very well for me, in that within most cases, I'm just not a fan. Now, in saying that, I do think it works really well here. I can believe that there would be a post-apocalyptic survival reality show unknowingly set in the hillbillies' territory. And as things kind of evolve, these what are supposed to be these fake dangers for the sake of the show and the sake of TV and ratings and all of that become very, very terrifyingly real, right? I like how the host character gets to kind of be this badass military guy and Rambo up and do all the things that he does. In my opinion, I think he fizzles out a little bit faster than I would have liked him to, but nonetheless, he is extremely fun to watch be a badass for as long as we get to. And I do have to appreciate the fact that this movie pulls absolutely no punches when it comes to its brutality, and being this very unapologetic, um, distinctive step up from what the first one did, but also being the benchmark for where the violence goes in the future. It's just kind of a fun movie. Um, but our runner-up today is going to be the original Wrong Turn, purely because I enjoy its pacing and storytelling. I really like how, it clearly communicates that there's something absolutely wrong happening in these woods, but you don't quite have your finger on exactly what it is at first. And I like the slow drip of that sort of information. I like the tensions of having this group of stranded strangers innocently wandering into the cabin and then slowly discovering who or what it is they're actually dealing with, and kind of the tensions of being trapped in the house with them once they return in close quarters. I like the terrifying realizations of when they find the junkyard where all the cars are parked. They start realizing that we are far from the only people that this has happened to. And then there's just the fact of, like, you're in the backwoods of Appalachia. And like, no matter where you go, how hard you run, what you do, they're gonna find you. Like you're in their territory. You're in their backyard. They know it like the back of their hand. So the statistically the percentage of you actually being able to escape them is really low. And I think that realization of like helplessness and hopelessness that comes with just like, you know, we're on their home turf, and they know how to navigate this far better than we do, is really awesome and terrifying. And I just think that out of the original run of movies here, this is the one that, in my opinion, holds up the strongest. But that just leaves our champion, the winner of the pony in today's list, the Wrong Turn remake from 2021. And I guess it's time for me to officially weigh in on the controversial topic of, is this, in fact, a Wrong Turn movie? And when I first watched it, that is a question that I wasn't so sure of, and I really struggled to answer it. But having watched it now, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, yes, I believe it is. I think it contains all of the spirit necessary to be a Wrong Turn movie. It just so happens that they replaced a lot of the gore-fest, cartoonish mascot slasher that's the lifeblood of the originals in favor of something a bit more intelligent or grounded in reality. Like, I'm not saying that you couldn't go out into the woods and stumble across mutated cannibalistic hillbillies, but I think you're far more likely to come across a compound of people who have rejected our version of society in favor of fostering their own, and that comes with its own horrors and its own terrifying things about it, I guess, obviously. But there you go, boys and girls. There's our list of the Wrong Turn movies. Just a quick little recap before I go there, though. At number 7, in last place, we have Wrong Turn 6. After that, we have Wrong Turn 4, Wrong Turn 5, Wrong Turn 3. After that, in third place, we have Wrong Turn 2. In second place, we have the original Wrong Turn. And then our winner for today, my personal favorite of the entire franchise, hopefully thus far, is the Wrong Turn remake from 2021. But that is going to wrap this video up, guys. So as always, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you in the next one.